If we look back through 7 million years of human evolution, our brains have been optimizing for one extremely specific task. We did not develop this complex neurology simply to build tools. We evolved a massive network entirely dedicated to forging physical, face-to-face social connections. To survive predators and a hostile environment, early humans needed to cooperate. That meant developing specialized circuits in the temporoparietal neocortex to read a subtle shift in a neighbor's facial expression, to interpret body language, and to feel empathy. Relative to our body mass, this demand for greater cognitive power gave us the largest brain of any living creature. It was an evolutionary explosion that produced a highly energy-efficient, deeply social machine. But that biological hardware took millions of years of slow, trial-and-error adaptation to build. In roughly a single decade, we dropped it into an environment of hyper-fast algorithms and infinite digital feeds, where visibility is constantly measured and quantified. We are experiencing a severe hardware mismatch. Ancient biological systems are crashing as they are forced to run modern digital software. This chart shows global digital connectivity reaching its highest peak in human history, but right alongside it is a startling figure. 80% of Generation Z report feeling lonely over the past year. Psychologists call this the loneliness paradox. It is a state of sensory deprivation in abundance. Young adults are navigating a high volume of digital stimuli and notifications, yet they are starved of actual emotional connection. Digital platforms are built to prioritize the speed and scale of interactions over emotional depth. A rapid exchange of text messages or likes lacks the warmth and nonverbal cues our brains require to feel a sense of embodied physical presence. When you strip away those physical cues, the brain cannot register genuine companionship. The resulting isolation is a predictable physiological response to an environment that lacks the basic inputs our minds need to function. Look at this image of a teenager in the 1970s. The bedroom acted as a hard physical boundary separating the public world from private life. It was a safe space for consumption, listening to records, reading magazines, and experimenting with fashion or values away from the watchful eyes of peers and parents. With the introduction of the smartphone, that hard boundary collapsed. Sociologists now refer to the space as the glass bedroom. The physical walls remain, but the space itself is entirely transparent to the outside world. Instead of retreating to consume media privately, teenagers are now producing content from their beds. Their most intimate spaces have become public stages, exposing them to continuous surveillance and the pressure to perform for an invisible global audience. Identity formation requires quiet continuity. Stripping away the divide between public and private has eliminated the vital downtime the developing brain needs to process experiences and build a stable, cohesive sense of self. To navigate this constant visibility, young people are adapting by fracturing their identities. They build highly curated, separate personas, optimized for the specific algorithms of LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, and encrypted group chats. Psychologists refer to this as maintaining dual selves. Managing these multiple versions of reality demands an immense amount of cognitive energy, forcing the brain into a state of chronic decision fatigue. We see this friction globally. In India, for example, youth are balancing traditional, regional values with hyper-globalized Western digital aesthetics, blending into a complex hybrid identity. Because digital validation is fleeting and algorithmic rewards favor visibility over authenticity, users are locked into comparing their daily reality with the idealized highlight reels of their peers. This constant performance breeds severe self-doubt. When you are required to exist across 5 different platforms simultaneously, presenting a slightly different version of yourself on each one, it becomes difficult to locate a stable center of meaning. The impact goes beyond social behavior. Advanced microscopy and molecular genetics show us that this digital environment is actively altering the physical structure of developing brains. This variable reward design, an unpredictable delay followed by a sudden dopamine spike, reinforces impulsive behavior. Over time, the reward centers become desensitized, requiring higher stimulation for baseline satisfaction. Chronic digital stimulation also accelerates the thinning of the prefrontal cortex, impairing complex decision-making. Constant interaction with infinite AI feeds is actively dismantling and rebuilding the cognitive architecture of an entire generation. In response to this cognitive exhaustion, we are witnessing a movement known as the vintage escape. Generation Z is turning away from digital saturation and actively seeking out analog media, retro technology, and physical objects. This desire for friction and slowness operates as a biological defense mechanism, an attempt by the overwhelmed brain to ground a fractured identity in the tangible, physical world. This search for tactile reality is visible in the physical organizing scene here, as Indian youth move from digital advocacy to direct face-to-face action. Fortunately, our minds are not cut in marble. The human brain is the only one on Earth capable of shaping its own evolution, and it possesses the neuroplasticity to adapt, set boundaries, and master these digital tools. Your mind is still changing, adapting to whatever environment it finds itself in. The question we all have to answer now is whether we will intentionally direct that evolution or leave our cognitive future in the hands of an algorithm.